I think Mike left.
Does anyone else see something pulsing in Katniss's nose? Like it's
it's very odd. It looks like she has one of those septum piercings, but it's made of like radioactive material.
It's like something's just in camera view, and it's peeking through.
Yeah. But it's weird that it's not like holding steady.
Yeah.
It's fluctuating.
Well, welcome to the All Pop No Culture podcast. I'm your host this week, Opie, and I'm joined as always by Kevin.
Hello.
Alex.
Greetings.
And David.
Oh yeah.
That's it. Nobody else. Well, Pete is finally back this week after his hiatus.
Hi, everybody.
Insert
Hello.
crowd noise now. And
Hey, Peter.
so yeah. So if you're new to this podcast, we are a pop culture center podcast talking about movies and television. And each week we go through some of the highlights of things that we've watched, things to watch or avoid. And we're also going through pre-selected franchises that we're all plowing through from a spin of a wheel. And this week we'll hear reviews from all of us. So you'll hear some Roger Moore 007 from Pete, Hunger Games from me, got Final Destination from Kevin. Alex is continuing on his Nightmare on Elm Street trek, and David has started the Expendables. But before we get to that, we will also be talking about WandaVision as the series has come to a close this over the last 48 hours. So there'll be some spoilers ahead on that. But before we get started on all of that, how is everybody's week and what would we like to talk about and start with? Does anybody have something that they just want to start with that's of note?
I can go.
Okay, Alex, why don't you start us off?
Well, kind of, I don't want to get the wheels turning too quickly right away, but kind of coming off of last week, I've continued watching Dark Matter. It's it's fine. I'm still chipping away.
I'm still trying to get through the commentary from last week's episode on Dark Matter. I'm about halfway through it. I was listening to it on the way to work and back, and I'm almost done.
It's a bit. That's why I don't want to spend too long on it. But I'm in season 2 now, and probably not quite halfway, almost halfway-ish. I feel about the same. It's good. It's not my favorite sci-fi, but I'm enjoying most of the major story beats. And again, some of the things I'm not a fan of is some of the acting. I think some of it's kind of weak. Although I still don't like him too much, but I like 3 a little more now. He's had some better development instead of just being like tough man. Like he's actually got some story beats.
He goes through a lot of development.
Yeah, so he's a little better, and I feel about the same about everybody else. Android is still the fucking goat. She's awesome. So good.
Oh, what did you think about the twist at the end of season 1?
I actually totally saw it coming.
Did you?
That's one thing about this show that there's one twist I didn't see coming, which was, I'll just say, the scene with the real Jace Corso and 1 at the beginning of season 2. I was like, oh shit, they did that. That was actually really cool. I didn't see that coming. But I've actually called just about everything else happening on the show. Like at the end of season 1, I was like, I bet it was 6. And sure enough, and it was, I was like, I don't know. I've just been calling it out. Yeah, I know. But you don't know what that means. I bet it was 6. But
there's a 0% chance that if he did watch it, that he'd remember this anyways.
100%. Yeah. There's 100% chance that there's a 0% chance that he would not remember
exactly.
That. Anyways, I like it. I'm going to keep going. I'll probably finish it unless it gets really bad or something. But yeah. And then the only other thing that I watched, it's a little bit older, but I've been like in a post-apocalyptic kind of zombie mood. And I've been playing a lot of like video games in that realm because that's always fun. And there's a game based off of World War Z, the movie / book.
Hmm.
That's pretty fun. But like as I was playing it, I was like, I don't think I've ever actually completely watched this movie. I've tried twice and I've fallen asleep both times.
Oh.
Not for lack of enjoyment. I just it must have been late or something like that, and I've just never like actually seen the movie. Like I've watched the beginning and then fallen asleep and then woken up when the credits are rolling, and I'm like, fuck. So I watched
that's like
that.
the only mainstream zombie movie I haven't seen.
Yeah, I gave it a watch because I'm a fan of that genre. Like I love 28 Days Later and other things like that. But
28 Days Later is still like the cream of the crop for me. When it comes to zombie movies.
That's such an amazing movie. But I watched World War Z and I did not fall asleep this time. I watched the unrated version. I liked it. I thought it was solid. I mean, it's different than other zombie movies, which I appreciate, and I thought it was well done in terms of just story pacing, and the acting was pretty good, and the effects hold up. Like it still looks pretty good, which is nice. So yeah, I watched that. It was the first time I successfully finished it, and I enjoyed it. So that's about it.
I hadn't heard anything bad about it. Yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about it. I haven't heard anything like great either. It's kind of like flew under the radar a bit.
I think its biggest problem is that it's not the book. The book, which is exceptional. It's so good, and it basically all the book. You couldn't read it. You didn't like it?
No, I have a real problem with books that are written in the first person for whatever reason.
Yeah,
and because it was like everybody's first person accounts, I really struggled with it. But I did listen to the audiobook where they actually cast everybody, and that was actually pretty impressive.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Mark Hamill does a couple, and
Will Wheaton
plays one of the recurring
hugest
guys.
fan of, but
Will Wheaton.
But it's really good.
I enjoyed the globe trotting aspect of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you don't see in zombie films typically. Like they're stranded somewhere. That's like a lot of the whole trope. They're stranded in this mall or this prison or this building or whatever it might be. And this one was nice because it like flexed outside of that, and it really like jumped all over the world, which I thought was super cool, and showed how it was affecting different places differently. And so I really liked that perspective. Because some places like the village they're walking through near the end of the movie, like it's fine. Like nothing's wrong there yet. Because like it's a small village that no one goes to and is not a risk of spreading the infection. It was a little close to home with the whole quarantine thing going on right now in real life. So, because they were talking a lot about that, like how do we stop the spread of this? And, people stay inside, yada, yada. And I was just like,
If you put masks on the zombies, they can't bite anybody.
That's fair. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good flick. Definitely, which I'm glad about because I actually bought it because it was on Hulu, but it was Hulu with commercials, and it was like an FX version of it. So I was like, I don't know if this is going to be like cut up, and I was like, I don't want to deal with that. So I just bought the unrated version, which is only like $10 or something. So yeah.
Plus, it's really good for if you need to go to sleep.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So.
I think
it induces narcolepsy in me for some reason.
At the time that it came out or was available to watch like on HBO or something like that, I think I was a little zombied out by that point because of how much at the time. So I think that's also what kind of led to me not watching it.
That was at the zenith of like Walking Dead and like all these things that it was a big zombie time, and that's kind of why like I don't know, I was in that mood now, like you get in moods. Like I started Dark Matter because I was in a sci-fi mood. I started this because I was in a zombie mood. And it was good watching it now, like kind of removed from the original hype and or hate, just like a totally blind watch. So I recommend. It's good. That's
cool.
it.
That's it.
That's all.
What about you, Kevin? Did you watch anything?
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot other than Final Destination, but we did start rewatching Battlestar Galactica.
Nice.
The not the original, not the 80s version, but the newer one. Yeah. And man, that show is just fucking good, man.
It's so
still good. I was worried because we wanted to show it to our daughter, and like we showed her Next Generation, and she like scoffed at us and stormed out of the room. And then we were worried the same would happen with Battlestar because we loved it so much. And we watched it like from the very beginning, week by week, all the way through.
I can see.
Is it not on anymore?
Oh no, it was 2000. Like
it's old,
right? Yeah. No, probably mid
You could tell me it's current. I'd be like, oh, okay.
That was like 2005, I think. I'd have to look it up to know for sure, and I'm not going to do that. We'll let Pete do that because he's the producer. But look how confused he looks.
So are we even recording this?
He's like, I wasn't listening.
Yeah, no.
But like the acting is amazing. Edward James Olmos is fucking great.
Oh, dude.
What's her name? Mary. Is it?
Which character?
O'Connell. Mary.
No.
Oh, the president.
The president.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Mary McDonnell.
She's great. Mary McDonnell.
Yeah, Mary McDonnell.
Trisha Helfer.
Trisha Helfer's great in it.
Katie Sackhoff. Like they all have their.
Well, that's it's funny because there's so many people in it that aren't necessarily stars, but they show up everywhere else. Like they show up all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got a couple of the Nexium cult members in there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
At least 2. Yeah.
Yeah. But
like
it's
2 that were arrested for sex trafficking, like that level.
Oh, in real life?
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a blonde woman who's on the ground crew. I don't remember what her character does. She was one of them, and then I forget who the second one was.
I remember that. I remember that now, what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know what show they were on.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I mean, it really holds up. One thing that actually makes the show really good is that the special effects when it came out were just a hair cheesy in the space scenes and stuff. So they're still just a hair cheesy. Like they don't look super outdated because they were never quite perfect. And I think that
it was on sci-fi, right? Like, I mean, they had a budget, but they were still, a sci-fi show.
Yeah, that was before sci-fi went to shit. So they still made good television and finished it.
They actually let it finish, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just so much that's good about it. It's got a great storyline running through the whole thing. They didn't waste time on extra episodes. They didn't do anything.
Yeah, not a lot of filler.
That didn't serve the story. So it was really well done.
It is depressing as all fuck, though. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, except for the ending. I mean, the ending was a little kind of almost uplifting, but man, because it was dark and it didn't bother with, let's throw in an episode that's funny, let's throw in some humor or whatever. Like somebody would make a joke every now and then, but it is definitely drama.
Oh yeah.
It's not. They don't bother with jokes. It's a shitty time.
Mm-hmm.
Like things have gone bad. So, but yeah, it was and is still impressive. So it's a good watch. I think there was technically 3, but
they split it into 5.
Split up into 2.
I thought the last 2 seasons were split up into 2 each. So it was like one.
Maybe that's what it was.
2A, 2B, 3A, 3B. I thought that's what it was, but maybe I'm wrong. And then there's the movies, which is like technically the first episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the short films.
Yeah, it was 2004 to 2009. There's 74 total episodes and 4 seasons.
4 seasons, okay.
Yeah. The last season's pretty long. That's the one they definitely split up into 2.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. But yeah, really good. Really good.
All righty. Peter, now that you're back.
Yes. Now, the only thing really of any note that we started watching is Soph and I started watching The Office from the beginning, which is fun. And I forgot how funny those early seasons were.
Yeah.
Michael Scott, man.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
I've never made it more than 3 episodes in.
Really?
I've never connected with the show. No, the
really?
humor just doesn't land with me.
I didn't at first.
It's for people that like funny things.
I like a lot of funny things.
Well, I mean,
I laugh quite often, but
at the time when it came out, I mean, The Office, Ricky Gervais' original version in Britain, got a lot of notoriety. I remember it winning for things. I'm like, what? The Office from Britain? I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
And then the this one comes out, and that style of humor, that was kind of like the first of us seeing it. For the vast majority of Americans. So I think that's what made it so funny. Whereas now we're so used to that style that I was curious how it holds up, but it's just good writing too.
Yeah.
Good writing, good cast. You can never go wrong.
It must be good because a lot of people love it. But yeah, my wife and I have tried for years, and our daughter too.
Really?
Like we've all three of us tried for years, and it just does not connect with us.
Well, whatever is fucking that up is also fucking up what made you like I Care a Lot. So whenever you get it fixed,
Yeah,
you'll be good.
Check the wiring.
It's funny as you're watching The Office, and it's really good in the beginning. I'm at the tail end seasons of Friends. I'm like in season 7 or 8, and like some of the characters are just just grating on me now. Where it's like, it's just so stupid. And
we did that like early mid quarantine. We watched all of that.
Yeah,
like,
so
from beginning to end, and it does. If you watch it like that and you don't have time in between it, they do start to towards the end really.
I basically watch one a day.
There's also that awkward phase where Matthew Perry relapsed.
Yeah, and he was like really weird, chubby,
twitchy. No, that's when he was healthy. When he was chubby, is because he stopped, and then he relapses and got like skinny again because
when he's really skinny, and then he got big.
Yeah, well, he went back and forth, but there's one season where at the end of XYZ season he's healthy and not on drugs. And then the beginning of the next season, he's like super skinny again, and that season was rough for him. Like he wasn't very funny.
Yeah,
I think you could tell he was struggling.
I'm in 6, the season after the wedding. Are you in season 6?
I thought it was after the proposal.
No, I'm in like season 7, and they haven't gotten married yet.
I think it was after the proposal. There's the proposal episode.
Yeah,
Monica
I know what
Chandler.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
In this season, he looks healthy weight wise.
That's good.
It's just the writing just is very stale, and they're just basically like coming on like, oh, I'm playing this character, and here's things that my character would say. I'm in season 7, episode 17 is the next one.
Yeah, I feel like later in that show they didn't really develop the characters anymore. They just stopped developing, and they were just them doing.
Well,
things.
The finale proves that.
Yeah.
or they develop like Monica's character goes way downhill. Into like the neuroses towards the end of the series, and I fucking love Friends.
Oh yeah, Friends is a great show. Like ultimately, yeah.
But there's times, especially towards the end with Monica, that I really just cannot fucking stand her.
That's what I remember.
Like when they're in Bermuda, whenever she gets competitive, it's like Courtney Cox takes it like so over the top.
Well, they took that and her sort of OCD.
Cleaning.
They were like funny quirks at the beginning.
Yeah.
She's kind of competitive and she likes everything being sorted a certain way. And then they just really like blasted him up to 100 at sort of the final season. Although can't ever go wrong with Fat Monica. Fat Monica is always a good time. She only shows up like 3 or 4 times, and every single time I'm like, this fucking rules. Fat Monica.
We've watched them all now with the kids and everything else. We now just know all the funny ones that if we're feeling like Friends, we'll go back and just watch specific episodes.
Yeah, you don't need to watch the whole thing for sure.
Yeah, like our Thanksgiving tradition when I'm off is we watch all the Thanksgiving episodes.
That's cool.
And my 8-year-old completely knows the one where Ross got high, like from beginning to end.
It's no Frasier. I can say that much.
Which is coming back. I'll be interesting. Curious to see what happens with that.
David Hyde Pierce in that.
Everyone.
So is there
his physical comedy though is just okay. Yeah, moving on.
Besides The Office, anything else you've watched of note?
Nothing super new. No, I think. I mean, there's a couple things I am excited for, which it's not going to be your kind of deal. But Stabler's coming back to Law and Order.
The what
on NBC? Detective Stabler. He's going to be. They're starting another Law and Order spinoff. This time it's Law and Order. Organized crime.
I've never watched Law and Order, and so when you said the Stabler, I thought you were talking about some horse show or some
Christopher
shit.
Maloney's returning.
Gotcha.
He was on SVU for years.
I like him, but I'm not going to watch that bullshit.
I'm gonna give it a try just because they've teased it enough now. Like the commercial they do is it's like effective because they go back and show you like little clips of Stabler and Benson
of when he mattered, so that he'll matter now.
Exactly. And then
remember this guy?
No,
remember how he left but didn't die?
He was good on that weird show, fucking Happy.
Yeah,
dude,
that's
Happy's
hilarious.
Fun.
That is
That's a fun
hilarious.
He's a good actor. It's just like
Yeah.
the show SVU. I mean, every episode's exactly the same fucking thing.
Okay, so you
Like-
know what? SVU is totally changed now. It's still
Oh, here we
like
go. Here
No,
we
no,
fucking
it-
go. This is
it's
what the
less-
show's been missing for the last month.
no, it's less formulaic of the Law and Order. Like, here's the crime, and now we'll get into this, and it's still like all really depressing, crazy stuff. But now they're completely focused more on the detectives and the characters, and it's much more soap opera-ish than it is.
So it's not about
procedural.
law or order. It's just about people.
Basically, yeah.
Sounds worse.
Cool.
Yeah.
Baby,
I was like-
baby rape is a background to everything now, as opposed to like the subject of the show.
Guess give people what they want. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, it's
All right. David, how about you? Anything
I haven't really watched anything new. My daughter, being on a WandaVision kick, has decided that we should rewatch like all the MCU movies. So I think
that's so funny. Yeah,
that's-
my kids wanted to do the same thing.
Yeah,
my youngest is just doing
mowed-
it on his iPad. He's like
Yeah.
5 movies in.
That's
my kid.
75% a good time.
My kids said the exact same thing. Let's watch them all now.
Well, we got
Well,
we're
we,
in
we
the-
got about halfway through Thor, and she was like, "Now we're skipping this."
No, the
So we
first
didn't even
Thor's
finish
not
that.
that bad.
bad. He just looks bad, but it's not bad.
But his eyebrows are horrific. Like
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
the blonde eyebrows.
Still
And
trips
the-
me out that Kenneth Branagh directed that.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but he was the
Like,
right
so-
guy for that movie. Like
He was.
for the movie that they tried to make, he was a good choice.
They made it work with what they were trying to go for.
So we skipped Thor: Dark World and
Oh,
moved
man.
on. So I think we're
You mean the
halfway through
best
phase
one?
2. Yeah,
Number one in the
after-
MCU.
yeah. So I think we're on to Winter Soldier soon, and then the
There you go.
Galaxies.
Nice.
And then we're also watching Schitt's Creek for a second time. So that
Yeah.
it's been good television, but nothing new to report.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, it's funny. My kids, I was joking. I'm like, hey, maybe we should rewatch the movies. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no, kind of just kidding. I mean, I want to, but we're also in the middle of Star Wars right now. So I'm like, we got to finish that. We're still like in season 2 of Clone Wars because we're trying to get through the whole series
That's right.
before we move on to episode 3.
Yeah, but by the time you get that done, they'll have that new animated series on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
They'll
no
have
shit.
to watch as well.
Well,
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Bad
that's-
Batch.
The Bad Batch,
Yeah.
that one.
So we're intermingling it with like WandaVision, so we'll still keep up with the Marvel, but it's going to take a while to get going on all the Star Wars the way we're going about it. But yeah, but other than that, we can move on to WandaVision.
It's a good
which,
segue.
I believe we've all seen it. We've all watched the last episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're listening and you haven't seen that episode, I suggest you watch it before you listen to this because we are probably going to talk about everything. So, having read the disclaimer, who wants to start? Because I mean, I got various opinions, but I'd like to hear your guys' first. So, how about from what I'm seeing, Kevin? Why don't you start?
Yeah, it's been long enough that I don't really remember what we didn't cover. I know we didn't talk about the last 3 episodes, but I don't
Mhm.
so much remember what happened in each one.
As the
Like,
one where
specifically?
we find out that Agatha,
That was 7.
it was Agatha all along, and
Right,
then
yeah.
you have the flashback episode where
That was 8.
you see, and then the final. So those
Mhm.
are the
Okay,
3 we
yeah.
have not covered.
Yeah. So I mean, the interesting thing for me was that Agatha thing really paid off, even though it was a pretty widely speculated thing. Like if you've read anything outside, because I never read enough X-Men comics to know who was really part of the Scarlet Witch's world. But everywhere online they were talking about her being Agatha Harkness, and I think the name just kind of fit.
Agnes,
Um,
yeah.
There were
Yeah.
other
And-
things too. She had the brooch, which was really famous
Yeah.
for the character. And and a couple other things. And then I was fairly convinced after the Halloween episode, because everyone in that episode was wearing the costume of who they actually were, and she was wearing the witch costume.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So that was cool. I think some of the witch stuff kind of cheesed out a little more than the rest of the series did. And the only other like problem I had was actually with the finale, in that the action scenes felt too like physically broad. Like everything was zoomed out. Everything was too far away for the action they had, because it was only like two people doing anything at any given time. And especially the scenes where it was her fighting Agatha up in the sky, like they were super far away from each other. And so they were, for me, too small on the screen for as big as the screen was. But I really liked her little plan there at the end to use the runes to kind of deflate what's her face. I thought that was pretty crafty. You know, it did have its emotional punch when she has to basically power down her family, right, and wipe them out. But yeah, I mean, I definitely was not dissatisfied with the show overall. I thought it was pretty good. I can see where the ending lost a little bit of the momentum that it had. But I'm really curious to see what comes next, because I know they're going to be in, or she's going to be in the Doctor Strange movie. And
apparently
something
she's
I read
also
today,
going to be in the Spider-Man movie first.
Oh, really?
So there's rumors saying that she's going to be in the Spider-Man movie, and then from there into the Doctor Strange movie.
There's so much hype on this movie, or like so much talk at least, about this Spider-Man movie. It's like, it's incredible. Where are they in the process of film? Like, have they even started filming it?
Yeah, they're filming now.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, one of the things that was really interesting was Tom Holland specifically said that he walked onto set and got a little reprimanded because he came onto set right after doing the Uncharted movie.
Uncharted, yeah.
Yeah, and he got knocked down a peg because he was bringing Nathan Drake's swagger to his little kid Peter Parker character. So
Yeah,
he had to kind of like dial it back a little, because you know, Peter isn't that guy, right? He's not.
Yeah.
You know,
He's not super
sassy and
confident.
swashbuckling. Yeah, exactly. And so that was a big deal for him. But yeah, no, they're already filming. They're working on it. They've had, you know, several people on set already. But I know that there was a quote from Tom Holland that I just read this morning that said he said that this is the hardest movie he's filmed so far. And I don't know exactly what he means by hardest.
he's just
But it's
rock hard
interesting.
the whole time.
Yeah, he's walking around with a boner in the suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awkward. You can see everything.
I'm ruining every fucking take.
He's excited, man. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm excited for that one too, and especially like if they're gonna sow this thread through this, what seems like this kind of first phase where magic and then, you know, primarily Scarlet Witch is running through everything. If she shows up in that one and then this one, it's almost like she's the Nick Fury of the show, which they made a Nick Fury nod at the end of WandaVision, which was cool.
Yeah.
What's interesting, just talking Spider-Man, the like characters they have confirmed right now, at least according to IMDb, is you've got Benedict Cumberbatch with Doctor Strange, Jamie Foxx is there as Electro, Alfred Molina is there as Doc Ock, and that's really it so far. We know Flash, the kid who played Flash is back, and Ned and MJ and Marissa Tomei.
They should bring the kid that played Flash back from the first one.
That's Joe
Manganiello.
He's a huge man now.
Huge.
He would absolutely squash Tom Holland with like his pinky finger.
Yeah, he would have to be Venom.
He could be.
Yeah,
I was gonna say he could be Venom.
He honestly would rule as Venom.
Yeah, he'd be a good Venom. But we don't need to get into the Venom movie. We've talked about that before.
I had similar thoughts to you in that the last episode, at least I felt it fell a little short of what this show presented as a whole. And I think for me, the biggest thing was, and you kind of mentioned it, this whole show wasn't really action heavy, because that's not what it was about. It was about Wanda's grief and her emotions sort of manifesting and creating all of this chaos, essentially. And I think that they kind of steered a little too heavy into it's the last act, we got to blow shit up kind of thing that they always do in Marvel movies and now apparently TV shows. And it kind of felt a little out of left field, because the whole show wasn't like that. The whole show, it had like a really nice gradual gradual build. And, you know, every once in a while it would crescendo, and then it would kind of come back down a little bit, and then it would come back up, and it was just like all these reveals and all these things. Like episode 4 is a lot of people's favorite episode, because that was the one where you're like, oh shit, this is what's going on. And that was the crescendo, and then it would kind of come back down. And this one just felt like the wrong kind of crescendo. Like it was just like, it was just too punchy and slinging spells everywhere. And they didn't have the budget to make it look like Endgame or something like that, which of course makes sense. But like the scene in Endgame where all of the Avengers from all over the place fight Thanos's army looks absolutely incredible. And like this does not, even though it was only really 4 people fighting. And it just was like, I feel like they didn't need this, like maybe a little bit, but I feel like it was drawn out. Like I felt like
the up close fighting worked. It was when
some of it,
you know,
Vision versus Vision wasn't terrible, but like that looked okay. But like, like you said, when they were slinging spells, it just was kind of meh. Like it didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, I wish they would have just said, you know, let's wait 2 weeks for the action show, which is Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, because that's going to have action all the way through.
Yeah, and just, you know, of course there's got to be some action in it, right? It's a superhero movie, and you got whatever. But I think they did a little too much.
Yeah. I mean, I think the end was satisfying enough in terms of wrapping up this arc and kind of propelling it towards whatever she's going to do next. I think the consequences for the things that she did were a little light. I think she got off a little light based off of what she just did, aka enslaving an entire town against their will.
What was her punishment in any way, shape, or form? She just walked away.
Yeah, she just walked out.
Now, and I think that's partially because people knew they couldn't stop her.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do, right?
Yeah,
like, that's the thing. Is that?
But Monica was a little light with her.
Monica was like, high five.
Yeah, she was like, well, you didn't mean it, so see you later. And it's like, what?
Well, not only that, what did she say? She's like, these people will never know what you sacrificed for them. And I was like,
made up people.
Yeah, made up people. While they like went like right before that in that episode, there was somebody like just straight up crying because they couldn't see their kid. She's
that
like,
was
where's
Dottie.
my kid?
Yeah, she was like, can you write her into an episode so that I can just see her? I haven't seen her this whole time. It was just like, Jesus Christ, like this is dark. Like
or there was somebody who said, don't ever let them come back, please don't ever, like about her husband or something like that. It was dark.
Her consequences, I felt like they needed to be a little heavier.
Well, though nobody really, the thing is though, everyone knows she was behind it, but other than her and Agatha, really, from what we've seen, no one actually knows what went down, and that it was her losing her mind in that moment over.
I think they all knew that. They even mentioned they had her nightmares when they went to sleep.
Right. No, but it to me, it would appear from the outside that when you see her fighting this other crazy witch person, that the impression I got left with was that, oh, there was someone else behind it all.
I don't feel that at all. When she's walking through the town and she like puts her hood up and she's in like her casual clothes, everyone's staring daggers at her. They know what happened.
Yeah, like, they just know that they can't do anything. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, they can't do anything. Of course, she's Scarlet Witch, but it's just like, I don't know. I know that they couldn't play the whole Wanda gets in trouble again card because they've already done that like 5 times in this series of movies, like between Sokovia and her getting locked in the Avengers compound after this and that. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like that. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like you can't just beat that horse, but at the same time, she got let off way too
She at least needed somebody to say, we'll be watching you. Like they didn't even get that. Like she just took
like, I needed Doctor Strange to walk through a portal in the middle of town and go, don't ever do this again. or I will
Yeah.
lock you in the mirror dimension for the rest of your life. Like I needed something like that. Like just
Yeah.
her to get just taken down a peg because she's uber powerful, arguably the most powerful person in the MCU. And I feel like that fact let her kind of skate away without really any, I don't know, it just felt a little unsatisfying in terms of like these people, these like regular ass people aren't getting any justice. Like it felt kind of sad in that sense for me, just for the people in the town who were trapped there for however long that was, a couple weeks. But I mean, again, the scene with her and Vision at the end was really nice. Like, kind of talking about what Vision is, and her costume is so fucking boss. I can't believe it. Like, her
they did a really
look
good job
is
on it.
like,
Cool.
it is it's so perfect. Of like, here's the comic version. Here's kind of what we've established as her costumes in the MCU.
Let's put them together.
Just fucking smash them together and turn the cool factor up to 100, because that her costume looks great. And then she had like the cloak version at the end when she's flying through the town with the big ass cape. I'm like, damn it. Like, I didn't think it'd get cooler, and it just fucking did. Like, what a great costume. Like, it probably one of the best in the MCU, like, in my opinion. Like, it looks really fantastic. But anyways, last episode was fine. I think the rest of the show was a lot stronger. I think the buildup was a lot stronger than the payoff. But still a good show.
I'd say for me the show peaked at 6, like, and then it was a slow downhill from there. Just little disappointment after little disappointment. I feel like the show kind of over promised and underproduced for me. Ultimately, it's still a good show. I enjoyed it, and I'm pretty impressed with what they accomplished. But I feel like some of the stuff that they did, like ultimately that the Evan Peters Quicksilver character is a dick joke, and like I mean,
that was a letdown for sure.
That's a huge slap in everyone's face.
I fucking loved that. I'm sorry.
Of course, no, dude, that sucked. That fucking sucked.
Love that,
dude. That was so bad.
Everyone was like,
"You don't need to hear any more than those votes of confidence." Just the lone
Pete approval.
Wolf. Yeah, it's like it's Pete approval, but everyone hates it. Which way are you gonna go?
Yeah,
I thought that was such a letdown. Like,
the whole internet's been trolling it for 2 days, right? There's very little else that my daughter's been showing me TikToks. I've already seen it in the other forms of social media, and
I think we have something on our page about it, don't we?
Probably.
So.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, it's been.
I think I posted something. I shared something.
It was the what's
the Drake meme.
The Drake meme. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man.
I think one of the coolest things to come out of the last 3 episodes was the fact that Catherine Hahn now holds a #1 song on iTunes. From
Is that a thing? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I thought it was cool that she was
Agatha all along.
I thought kind of how that she wasn't that great once they revealed her. She was a more entertaining character when she was playing a character, but when she was Agatha, she wasn't terribly interesting.
I agree.
No, she was a little too over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like it was like, we understand that you're a witch, but tone it down.
Don't have to be so witchy.
Like, tone it down.
Yeah,
like Wanda's a witch. Like, she's not cackling and long black
that's the
flowy
thing.
robes and stuff.
When she was in the car and he like tapped her and we thought he was unlocking her, and she had that moment where she has the cackle, like that one was perfect. Like that was the only one she ever needed to establish the witch thing. She didn't need to do it again. And they did a little too much after that.
Yeah. And then I thought they didn't really use Monica hardly at all. I mean,
they totally wrote her out like at the end of the show.
Yeah.
She's strictly being set up for her next appearance. Like,
I know.
But yeah, it just felt like
they could have used her better for sure. And I need more Kat Dennings.
Yeah.
They
kind of threw her away too.
Once she got pulled into the hex, she had that little kind of bit with Vision in the van where the stoplight kept being red. Yeah. And then we never saw her again until she hit that guy's car.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was like, okay.
Yeah. She's just been driving to town.
Yeah, the whole time. I feel she's just stuck in traffic.
It was really far out. That hex got real big. Yeah, and then I thought the post-credit stuff was pretty cool, but
Yeah.
like you said, they establish Monica's next position, which is going to be in all likelihood the next Captain Marvel movie as she's heading to space.
Yep.
But who knows? I mean, everyone's spacefaring nowadays. I mean, once they took all the Avengers into space, it's like, who knows what happens next?
Right.
And then the final one,
at least
post-credit scene, was interesting, but who knows where it goes from there? I feel like all the same speculation we've had throughout this same show could be applied to that one little end credit scene. So,
which one was that?
Where she's in the cabin.
Yeah, she's in the cabin, and she's
it pans down to the cabin. And you see what looks like her walking out the front of the cabin.
That is her.
It is.
But then it goes inside the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
No, but
all of a sudden,
the one outside is actually her, right?
Yeah.
And
then the one inside the
cabin projection.
She's doing like a Doctor Strange astral projection. Remember when he's reading the books when he's like physically sleeping?
Oh, okay. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, that's her astral projection. So she's studying the Darkhold in her while she's also getting some R&R.
Yeah, and while doing so, at the end, you hear her kids call to her.
Yeah.
So,
which is interesting since they're
not. Interesting. Are they?
Which makes you wonder if they're going to do
a different multiverse?
They're going to do like a flip side of the comics too, where in the comics, I think the first time her kids were created, it was with Mephisto.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she brought him back, I forget what the story was there. But I wonder if in the whatever timeline they're doing, if they'll still bring in Mephisto and flip things around.
I don't need her to have kids, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I think
glad they do though, because there's still a lot of talk about them doing a Young Avengers something. Yeah. And both of her kids were in the Young Avengers. So
yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of happy that whole thing is gone.
You're glad the kids died. You're glad.
Yeah, I'm glad that her imaginary children are gone. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I felt like they weren't very interesting. Like I kind of
was also they were unnecessary throughout. Like
they were only needed for that scene at the end where Agatha has them like with her little tendrils.
Yeah.
Like she's like got the.
Otherwise they were fan service. They were fan service for the characters that they were and the characters that they can be. But they didn't really serve a story purpose much.
No, I really enjoyed
they were the plot device to give her more of a level of grief.
They're ultimately a MacGuffin. I mean,
totally.
I did enjoy the Malcolm in the Middle episode though, where they kept talking to the camera. I thought that was their strongest outing for sure, and like the only one where I was like, I'm enjoying these kids. This is fun. But most of the time, I was like, okay, go back to Wanda and Vision, please. And now actual Vision, is out and about. He's White Vision still, and he doesn't have the emotion or the Soul Stone. Is that the one he had?
He's the Mind Stone.
Yeah, the Mind Stone. But he has all the memories, so he's like halfway there. So we'll see what happens with him. There's some people who are saying, his job was to destroy the Vision, and we see him fly off at the end. I don't think this is true, but some people were like, yeah, he flew like into the sun to kill himself because he is the Vision.
No.
And I was like, he's coming back. Like,
yeah, I think he shook that programming when he unlocked his memories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody know what White Vision was in the comics?
He was exactly that, just a Vision without his emotion or humanity or memories. He was basically just Ultron without a personality. Like he's just like a killing machine essentially. But I mean, ultimately, I think it was still a solid show. Just the ending floundered a bit,
especially for their first outing. I mean, you think about what they had the learning curve that they had to go through to make this show, and they did a pretty good job.
And they took a lot of risks.
Technically, Mandalorian was probably their Disney's first real foray into making a TV show, but this is the first MCU one. So
this one was risky too. Because I remember watching it at the beginning with like the I Love Lucy episode. I was like, what are they doing here?
Yeah,
like I they could have easily lost an audience very quickly, but they kept it just like interesting enough with like their little, like the scene in the first episode where the guy's choking and everyone starts freaking out and like the filming style changes. You're like, okay, there's something else going on here. Like they kept you interested enough to keep you going, but it was definitely very risky.
The other thing too is that they never lost viewership from any of the weird shit they did, and at least twice they crashed the actual Disney Plus service.
I'm sure.
From how many people were trying to watch this show specifically, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys have said. I enjoyed it overall. I thought, and I like the fact that it's only one season. And, so you can kind of just take it for what it is and then move on. And then it'll be interesting to see with what is coming out, if anything ties back to it, which is very much Marvel's MO. So who knows? It'll be interesting to see how it goes forward. But yeah, I don't think there's really much more to say about that. So, having put that to bed, I guess it's time to move on to our franchises. Now, it looks like Pete has missed the last few weeks, and in that time, you have completed all of your movies. Is that correct? So you'll be spinning for something new this week? Okay.
That is correct.
Everyone else is still in the middle of theirs or at the beginning. So why don't we start with you, Pete, so we can get through that, and then we'll have you spin and see what you get to. Is that like a notebook? Did I just see a notebook full of notes?
Yes, you did.
He's like, hang on 1 second. I have my binder here. Like,
It's color coded with fucking tags on the sides.
I have like pull tabs, like episode 1.
Honey, where's my trapper keeper?
I need my laser pointer so I don't lose my space.
I'm doing the show. I need my notes. It's a Velcro. So, well, we already lost David. He's all, fuck this. You'll have to remind us of the movies that you've watched, and then the ones that were remaining, and so we can try to stay on course with this one.
Okay. So I had already watched Live and Let Die and the Man.
Wait. Before you had the 007 series with Roger Moore.
All 7 gems.
So all 7 movies, and you had previous episodes. You had already done number 1 and 2, I believe.
Yes.
So you did the final 5.
Yes.
So okay. So take it away.
All right. So we have the 1974 masterpiece, The Spy Who Loved Me. It takes a little bit of this is where they, for the next couple of movies, they actually move away from the grittier Bond that it was before, and it's the campiest of what's left. So British and Soviet submarines go missing. Yeah. There's no car chase early on to this one. Now, I'm as I'm reading my notes, I'm reliving these. These were so bad because they just like, I watched them in quick succession over the course of like 2 days. And so I was just like compounded by how bad and formulaic these were. And it's just so, in this one, you've got 2 British and Soviet subs that go missing. Instead of a car chase in the beginning, we've got a ski chase versus the Soviet ambush on Bond. And the Bond and a KGB agent join forces to thwart the plans for selling the info on where the subs are. What was this one? Oh yeah, and the little backstory on that: the KGB agent's a woman, and Bond had killed her partner. You need to know that for later.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're running around trying to find where these submarines went, and they end up in the desert. And this is where we get Jaws for the first time. This is like that kind of iconic Bond henchman.
Oh, we lost Pete. The connection thing. Fuck this.
So
he's back.
Where the KGB and the Brits form a kind of like a truce to work together to figure out where these submarines have gone. Now we get the car chase with a helicopter chase and a motorcycle with a sidecar with a rocket. And Bond is driving his Lotus Esprit that turns into a submarine.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, he takes out the helicopter with a surface-to-air missile that launches from this car underwater. It's just all sorts of convoluted plot points after that. They finally find the bad guy, who's this multinational billionaire named Stromberg, who has a floating base out in the middle of the ocean that looks like the Legion of Doom headquarters from Super Friends, had a baby with the spider from Wild Wild West with Kevin Smith and Kevin Kline.
Kevin Smith? That would be a very different fucking movie, dude.
Will Smith.
I think that would be a much. Well, you probably got that confused because the Kevin Smith tells the story about how he tried to make Spider-Man, and then the producer pitched the big spider as the villain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then he gets the very next movie he makes is Wild Wild West. And of course, the big bad guy at the end is a giant mechanical spider. Listen to the Kevin Smith tell it. It's way better.
Yeah.
God, I hope so.
Oh, yeah. And it's magically called Atlantis, originally with that. And the plot here is that Stromberg is going to trigger World War III by launching the Soviet missiles at the U.S. and the U.S. missiles from the submarine at the Soviets.
It's not the plot of Spies Like Us.
Yeah.
Which is probably a better movie.
Oh, God, yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So there's a tanker ship that like an oil tanker that they actually used to steal the submarine. So there's two full-size nuclear submarines inside an oil tanker. Bond rescues the crew of both the UK sub and the British sub with the help of an American sub, of course.
How'd they get the budget for all these submarines?
Bond tricks the subs via some 1977 style computer hacking.
He tricks the sub?
The sub
itself.
Like the two submarines, the British submarine, or the British submarine and the Russian submarine, to fire their missiles at each other, thus blowing up the submarines and eliminating the threat. The U.S. submarine is ordered to destroy Atlantis, Stromberg's base, but Bond insists on going in and rescuing the chickie bangs in the beginning of the movie, who's the assistant to the bad guy. The KGB agent. That the other chick died.
Is this all one movie? Is this all one movie?
Yeah, I feel like this is still the first one. We still got 4 to go.
Yeah. Bond throws Jaws into a shark tank, but Jaws kills the sharks and escapes. And then Bond and the girl escape on an escape pod, and the Brits or the U.S. blow up Atlantis.
An escape pod,
like an escape submarine.
Oh,
like it's a little escape pod submarine.
Just like escape pod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're in a bus. What the fuck is an escape pod?
And then the U.S. sub is going to rescue the two of them from the escape pod, and we watch them make love through a porthole in the little submarine escape pod.
I feel like I've seen this movie. I feel like I've seen it.
Just wait, because I'm going to describe the next 4, and you're going to feel like you've seen them too.
Because they're probably all sound exactly the same.
Some of the ones you're about to go through, I have seen. I just didn't remember that I had seen this one because a lot of it sounded familiar.
Now we get 1979's Moonraker, also known as Bond in Space.
Yeah, I have not seen this one for sure.
This is where we get a real. This is one of the fun points on this one is they start to lean into like the funny names for like Bond's, love interests that show up here and there.
So that starts here, or this is just where they really kind of lock it down?
Yeah, this is where they really start to lock it down again. They did it a little bit in some of the Sean Connery ones.
Pussy Galore?
No, exactly. But this is Dr. Goodhead.
Oh,
Dr. Goodhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that's a girl because she sounds really friendly.
Yeah.
she's smart.
Yeah.
she's sciencey.
I mean, she's a doctor.
The bad
She
guy
wears glasses.
So she doesn't get it in her eyes.
Yeah.
Her name's Christmas.
They're huge, like huge glasses.
I couldn't resist.
Yeah. She's Asian, Dr. Fukmi.
No, that was Austin Powers. They actually did that.
Oh, that's
bit.
right. They did do that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry,
Oh.
didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Why would we prolong this?
That's
I know. What are we doing?
Yeah, sorry.
Keep it tight.
Yeah, I'm apologizing to the listener right now.
The one.
so.
To myself.
The evil bad guy Zoran.
Evil bad guy.
Yep, builds space shuttles.
The evil good guy.
He builds space shuttles for various nations around the world. He steals
That's
two
nice.
of them. His basic, not to give too much away about him, but his whole
Don't
thing
spoil
is,
it.
Yeah.
He's going
Always
to
leave us wanting more.
right. He's going to use the space shuttles to shoot these poisonous bombs out over the atmosphere that are full of like this defoliant and poison that are going to kill all the life on Earth. And he's going to repopulate the planet with the master race that he has hidden aboard his space station. Well,
It's always got to be the master race.
No, but it's a master human race because it's actually there's.
Well, I would hope so.
As opposed to what?
No.
I
mean,
got
it's not
3,000 dogs up there. I gotta let them just have.
They're just gonna
Yeah.
launch into the atmosphere with a bomb.
I mean, it's not like some Hitler-Aryan thing. Like there's Asian
Sounds
people,
a lot
there's
like
black
it.
people, there's white people.
Superior
it-
race, gassing everybody. It's
This is
got a lot
really
of same
leaning.
elements.
Bond and Dr. Goodhead travel around the globe finding different clues to figure this out. They eventually take one of the space shuttles up with a group of American Marines, and the Marines have a laser fight with all of Zoran's bad people on the space station. Jaws shows up a couple of times in the movie because he escaped the sharks. He was hired to be a henchman by this guy, but somewhere along the way, he falls in love with Holly, one of the other henchmen.
Jaws does?
Yeah, Jaws does. And Bond actually, at the end, gets Jaws to switch sides and help him defeat Zoran by convincing him that Zoran would wind up killing him and Holly because they were genetically deficient compared to his other subjects.
So love conquers all.
Yeah, basically. We don't get to see Bond doing it in an escape pod or anything in this one. They got away from
Fuck
that.
it, I'm not watching it then.
Waste
I should
of
have started
time.
with that.
Yeah. But it's a happy ending for Jaws, at least the bad guy. He escapes.
An actual happy ending, or just like
With Dr.
Probably.
Goodhead?
Zing.
Oh yeah, one of the fun ones on this one is in. Oh no, that was the last one. Never mind. Don't worry about that. Yeah, so that's Moonraker.
Are you going down your notes like in order and you randomly put a comment from the last movie? Oh, real quick before I forget from the last movie.
No, I had
This is
another thing about Jaws that's not important, but it made me think of something from the last movie. When he escapes the helicopter that gets shot down by Bond's missile, he falls into a circus tent and lands on a trapeze net.
Sounds stupid.
Rather convenient.
Yeah, it's just fucking. It's just this random fucking circus.
Glad we got that in.
It has nothing else to
Next
do
movie.
with anyway.
Next
For Your
movie.
Eyes Only. The best thing about For Your Eyes Only is the.
It should be
theme
For
song.
Your Eyes Only, and then that's it.
Is the theme song by Olivia
Yeah, I was gonna
Newton-John.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the song, I remember the song.
Yep, that's really the best part of that. There's this thing called an ATAC that controls the British Polaris submarines and can.
Why is
make
it always
them,
subs?
I know, right?
I don't know, because here we go again with them being
They own
able to
stock in
launch
subs.
missiles.
Well, submarines can launch missiles.
Out of these, this is so the last two.
Not a stretch.
Here we go again with submarines launching missils. Yeah, give me a
Fucking
price. Like,
dicks.
yeah, that's the part he can't get over. It's all so stupid. It's such a stupid concept.
Can we please get back to cars turning
Ridiculous.
submarines?
I need more laser fights on the moon.
Oh no,
Let's-
space station,
yeah.
not the moon.
Let's get that. Let's get some believability back into it, please. All right. Sorry. What are we doing? Prolonging, please. Continue.
Okay. So
Lost his page.
yeah, basically. So there's this device on this British ship that controls the submarines and can make them remotely launch their missiles that sinks. And the KGB finds out about it, and this other Greek terrorist guy who you don't find out is a terrorist guy until the end, because he actually used to be a war hero, so he's kind of this double agent, double cross kind of thing. It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever in the movie.
Not the way
like
you
this,
tell it.
no, it doesn't make any sense in the fucking movie either. This one, these are not just me.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah. So Bond finds this rich woman who he has sex with, and then they
As you would.
exactly they
Yeah.
take her yacht and they go and they recover this device from the sunken ship. And
As you
that's
would.
when and that's when the KGB
Was her
shows
yacht?
up.
Was her yacht?
Turns into a submarine.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just a yacht.
Did he just scuba dive down there and pick it up?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nothing.
Sunk in shallow
nothing
water,
special.
I guess.
Yep.
He's like, no, it was 300 meters down.
Yeah.
He just-
He's Bond. He can hold his breath
He,
for like
he
I don't know, ever.
snorkeled just to be an asshole. Not even scuba. He's snorkeling.
Just free diving.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of car chases. There's a boat chase. More hijinks ensue, and the bad guy dies. Bond destroys this device rather than let the KGB have it at the end, so that they
Well, that makes
can't.
sense,
then
'cause he
use and
doesn't
sell
work
it.
for the KGB.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Bond,
that tracks.
Bond again has sex with the rich lady on the yacht.
As you
And
would.
Margaret Thatcher then calls to thank him. End of For Your Eyes Only.
And scene.
Was it the real Margaret Thatcher or just someone playing Margaret Thatcher?
It's a famous impersonator of Margaret Thatcher, apparently.
Oh,
Who?
I don't know.
Oh,
I forgot her
the
fucking name.
impersonator at
I
the
looked at
time.
I looked at the cast. I was curious as to who it was, and I clicked on it. This
Maggie
brings
Thatcher.
us to Octopussy.
I've seen that one.
Yes. Octopussy, I think, was
another play on words name.
How so?
exactly. I think
How so?
Octopussy, 1983 was right. Like, I think that's one that like the Roger Moore that we've probably seen the most of, because it was kind of right at our age group. Like, you would have been around 10.
I was 8,
You were 8.
1983.
You would have been around like 15,
Yeah.
18.
Oh yeah, no, I was 6.
but I did
Makes
see it in
sense.
the theater.
So the plot on this one,
Let me guess. He needs
no submarines.
There's a submarine.
No submarines.
A blimp?
Um,
Give me something
there's
ridiculous.
this Indian dude, Khan, who's working with a KGB general who wants to blow up a nuclear bomb
Submarine.
on a U.S. Air Force base in Germany to try and show that the U.S. is not doing things well, so Soviet control will expand. And it doesn't make any sense. Like what do you
tell it?
What do you want? No, it's what he wants to do just doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't make any logical sense that blowing up this bomb is going to somehow geopolitically make Soviet influence increase. It's just a weird plot device. It starts off as some stolen Fabergé eggs and a whole switcheroo deal at an auction with the rich Indian guy Khan that Bond has to do, and then there's the real egg, and this is how we're introduced to Khan, and we follow him around and meet the general. The title character Octopussy is a rich smuggler woman who lives in another offshore kind of base, and she teams up. She was employed by Khan in the past.
You only get there by submarine.
And so she, I think Alex put up a screenshot, and oh no, okay, it really is you.
No, he just actually fell asleep. So
it's just his cardboard cutout.
I just heard my name and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So she decides.
We're almost halfway through, Alex. Almost halfway through.
I know.
We're on the second to last one.
Page 84 of his notes.
She and Bond work together to stop Khan.
Is this Wrath of Khan?
No, I wish.
Does at any point does he look up at the
That's
sky
actually
and
a
yell
good
Khan?
No,
That'd be
that was
amazing.
funny. But this one is the start though of Roger Moore starting to be very old, so the action sequences are a lot more dialed back, and when some of his fight scenes are filmed from a lot wider shots from farther away.
Shot by helicopter.
His pimp cane has 4 things on the bottom of it with tennis balls on it.
It's a walker. So really, it's good because in the end, Bond and and Octopussy are in a plane with Khan, and they dive out at the last minute, and Khan crashes, and the plane's destroyed. Yeah, that's about that one. Oh yeah, and then we get to see Bond having sex with her on the yacht from some British spy drone.
Sweet, from a spy drone.
Yep. All right, here we go. Last one.
A View to a Kill.
Yeah.
I remember that also had a good theme song by Duran Duran.
Duran, yeah. This time, it's a stolen microchip that can withstand an EMP, and the bad guy is going to ready. This one hits a little close to home here because he's going to destroy Silicon Valley, and the way he's going to do this,
what a dick,
is by blowing up lakes along the Hayward and San Andreas fault, thus causing the fault to flood and flooding Silicon Valley.
Well, yeah.
Joke's on him. There's a drought.
Right?
Yeah, where's he get the water, asshole?
Just made a big asshole. That's all he did.
Bond has another woman, and they kind of globetrot a little bit before they figure out this whole plot.
He has AIDS by this point too. Let's not forget.
He's got to have something.
Got to.
Yeah. He spends all the time in between the movies treating his gonorrhea.
Just in the hospital.
This time, at the end, the special vehicle we get.
Oh, we're just skipping to the end?
Yeah, because the rest of it's the plot. Take the plot of the other ones with the car chases and the.
I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
Just like Alex. Huh? He's all, okay. So is it my turn to talk? Oh no. Okay.
This time the bad guy is escaping with Bond and the female agent on a blimp.
I remember that. The Golden Gate Bridge.
Exactly. It kind of gets tied off to the Golden Gate Bridge as they're getting away. And the guy, for some reason, has fucking dynamite on this blimp, and he's going to use it to blow up Bond.
Yeah.
But Bond,
right next to the fire extinguisher. Every blimp has that.
Bond, this guy goes to light the dynamite. Bond and the agent dive off onto the bridge. They cut the rope. The blimp flies away. Boom. Bad guy dead.
Just don't throw the dynamite into the water and keep the blimp.
Nope.
There's a whole like fucking ocean right there.
It's a bay, I think, technically, but
Sure. A body of huge amounts of salt water.
Okay.
And this time it ends with us getting to watch Bond having sex through a bathroom window.
But he's so old that
in
he
the
has
woman's
to
house.
the
Water.
water.
Yeah, it's
blue pills next to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chasing it down in his rascal scooter.
They I'm so glad to be done with those because they're
God, I hope he gets another Bond series.
Yeah.
Was there anything worthwhile?
I mean, no, not really.
Basically, all of them were really good.
I had liked him when I was younger, like when you're watching him in the 80s when you're young, and this is kind of the Bond you were getting.
When you watch him in the 80s, you
were
only
6?
like 3. Yeah.
No, when because they were out on video and you'd see some on like TV in like Octopussy and For Your Eyes Only. I remember watching as a kid, and I remember thinking they were cool.
Yeah.
But like even the little gadgets, like the little dart shooting watch and the fucking laser and the cable that comes out of his watch and the
the way you tell it.
phone, and they're just not as cool as they were when I was a kid. Like at the time, they seemed. I was like, oh, that's fucking dope. Now you watch it, and it's not.
I was like, my iPhone does that already.
Yeah,
I have that on my Apple Watch.
It's not that they just don't age well. Like you just see them now as not a kid, and you're like, that's just fucking dumb. Like it's just not. It's
that's
just
Pete
not
Tongue
cool.
saying it. So.
All
right. Well.
Yeah.
We're done with that. You ready to spin the wheel to see what you get next?
Fuck yeah.
All right. Let's see here.
What do we got here?
Yeah. Don't get too happy. There's a lot of shit on here.
Yeah. As long as there's not 7 fucking movies this time. Like that. I think that's what made it worse is that there's so goddamn many of them.
I have 8.
Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah. It's a Friday the 13th. Come on. What is it?
Oh, that's not bad.
That's
Predator.
I'll take that.
I
So
almost
does
had
that-
High School Musical, which probably would have made him even happy.
Yeah, for a second he was really happy. Like,
if we got High School Musical, like,
yes,
I could have just done those tonight and just knocked that out of the way and respun.
So that's all 4 Predator movies then, yeah?
Yes.
So there's 4 of them.
There's 4 of them.
I mean,
Soon to be 5.
Oh, that's right, because there's the Predators, the Adrian Brody thing. There's okay, yeah.
Predator
Predator
2,
versus Alien,
Predators, and the Predator.
and then Predator versus Alien too, right?
Are you doing those?
Is that part of it?
Well, because
You might
there's
as well.
2 of those.
I mean, and it is, I guess, technically part of the canon.
So that would be 6.
Where is it? Yeah, I guess it is.
So 6.
I'll take that. That's still I'll take that. I could.
I watched
Next time you have
recently,
5 in
actually.
yours, and then 4, and then 3. You're just gonna go down. So
Damn.
6 movies.
That's okay. I'll take.
You got one of the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it. Pulled another one off the wheel.
Yeah, you better get through those nightmares because it can become
be
another
definitely
nightmare.
Shit left.
These are at least watchable. I remember that. Like,
First Predator movie is one of the greatest action movies ever made. So you're lucky with that one.
and the
Yeah,
second
but I feel
one's
like
got
it's
that
a
whole
steep,
Jamaican
it's a
street
steep
game.
drop
That's
off
funny
after
as hell.
that.
The second one is ridiculous, but it's still
Yeah.
fun.
And the second
in
one also gives
LA.
you the fun little tie-in to the Alien universe because the whole wall of skulls you see the
Xenomorph skull.
and so that's there's like fun little tidbits throughout that. Plus,
Oh, excuse me.
aging Danny Glover is just always fun because you keep
He's too
wanting
old
him
for
to
that
Murtaugh
shit.
out.
He is indeed.
David. Okay. Let's see. Let's since there's so much action in 007, let's switch it a little bit and go over to Final Destination with Kevin starting his franchise, which I've seen this one. I remember at the time it seemed entertaining, but
yeah,
how was it?
Yeah, so it's still entertaining, but it's not good. I wrote a lot of notes, but I don't want to be too peaty, so I'll slow them down a little bit. But it opens up with the cheesy like '90s montage of shit that has nothing to do with the movie and some corny ass music.
Was that the airport?
No, well, it actually has like a credits scene where it's just like a book and some shit, like it's nothing. But then it opens up with the airport. So all these kids are going to the airport. They're going to go to France for the class trip. And Devon Sawa is the main character. I don't remember any characters' names in this movie. I think that comes from watching it after it's being so old. So it's got Ali Larter, Devon Sawa, Stifler, some dude that's a jock, and then one character's name.
Stifler's in that
guy's name.
Yeah, I don't remember him being in
Stifler.
that at all. Wow.
He's right up there on the screen. He's on the right side if you look at the.
Yep.
Oh damn.
Behind him.
So so the whole like the foreshadowing jinx starts at the very, very beginning before he leaves for the airport. He's taking his dad's suitcase, and the mom leans down to rip the previous travel tag off, and he's like, "Don't cut that off. It's bad luck. Dad survived that trip." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then she fucking rips it off anyways. So it's all her fault, really.
Bitch.
So he gets to the airport, and he's feeling a little weird or whatever, like he's a little tripped out. And then everybody gets in the plane, and the plane takes off. And sure enough, like all the things he was uneasy about happen, and the plane explodes. And like they do a very gratuitous scene of the fire blowing into his face and melting his face off before he wakes up back in the airport. It turns out it was all a dream. And so, they all start to get back on the plane. And then he starts to see all these things that were triggering him in the dream. And he flips out and, says, "Oh, we got to get off the plane. It's going to explode. It's going to explode." Blah, blah. And then like some jock dude from his class is in there, and they start fighting. So they get dragged off the plane. Stifler was getting on the plane, so he gets pushed off of the plane. And then for reasons, I guess, Ali Larter's character sees him freaking out and is like, "Oh, he must be right," and gets off the plane. So of course everybody's like talking to him about how he's a dick for getting everybody off the plane, right? And so they're bitching at him, and the plane's in the background flying away. And then of course up in the sky it just fucking explodes in midair. And so of course a kid was just on a plane saying that the plane is going to explode, gets off the plane, the cops talk to him for like 30 seconds. Like
that's all you need.
Yeah,
this was like before 9/11. So.
Clearly before 9/11. Like I literally like the one note that I wrote here when he where is it? So a kid freaks out on a plane, says it's going to explode, and no cops do anything. Definitely pre 9/11. That's like literally what I wrote. So
also it's Devon Sawa. No one wants to talk to that dude for very long.
Yeah. So after it explodes, they're all still in the airport, and some of the cops show up, and the teacher that was on there, mind you, I mean, the thing fucking like explodes. It doesn't fall out of the sky. It straight up blows up. And the teacher that got pushed off the plane or had to stay behind with the kid looks at the cops and she says, "Are there any survivors?" I was like, dude, it was a fucking explosion. So that was pretty neat. That was
I think I saw
writing.
Steve jackknife into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let me check my logs. Actually, there's 6 survivors. Like, what?
And then I
failed to mention that. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
not
so
everyone
everybody's sitting around talking to little old Devon about his little thing, and somebody starts to say something like, it sounds like, "Oh, are you a terrorist or whatever?" And Ali Lauder jumps in. She's like, "Well, he's not a witch." And I was like, what the fuck? Like that was like
who's talking about witches?
Yeah,
which means that she's totally won, and she's just trying to like deflect. Like there's no such thing as witches. Like
okay.
Yeah, all right.
So ultimately everybody gets sent home. The kid that said the plane was going to explode, they're like, "Oh, you little scamp, head on home."
Rascal.
Yeah.
And
hey, you go buy yourself a lottery ticket, mister.
Yeah. So it skips ahead like a month to them doing this like this funeral service kind of thing at the school for all the kids that got blown up. And
it got blown up.
You know, at the memorial, the jock dude shows up and says that he doesn't owe Devon Sawa anything because he's never going to die. And I was like, yeah, that's like the equivalent of saying I'll be right back in a horror movie, right?
Yep.
I'm never gonna die. It's like, so
yeah.
how you gonna pull that one off, pal? Just gonna live forever, huh?
And then and then Stifler shows up in this scene again, and he's kind of the comic relief, and he's like asking him all kinds of questions about the lottery and teasing him about being a psychic, right? And then it flashes back to Devon Sawa's room where he's got like notes about the plane everywhere. Like for some reason, him surviving the crash, he needed to like study it. Whereas like if I survived a plane crash for any reason, I'd be like, fuck yeah. Like I would never want to think about it again. So they cut to like this kid's best friend is one of the ones that got pushed off the plane. Devon Sawa's best friends, and so this is like the first like death scene of the movie. So there's this whole like thing where he's in his bathroom and they're like foreshadowing all these different ways he could accidentally die. Yeah, but like water starts to leak out from the bottom of the toilet, makes the floor all wet, and so like he's shaving and you think he's gonna like cut his own throat or you think all this shit. But he ultimately turns around and trips into the bathtub, and this cord that's there to dry clothes over the shower wraps around his neck and he strangles on that. And of course, while this is happening, Devon Sawa's at home reading Penthouse magazine as you would. So you get your horror movie boobs from a magazine. And something happens and he freaks out and he throws the magazine at a fan. And it gets shredded by the fan because home fans are that powerful. And all these little pieces of paper go flying around, and one lands in his lap, and it just says TOD, and his friend's name is Todd. And so he's like, oh my God, that means he's going to die, because that's obviously what you would think if you got a piece of paper with almost your friend's name on it.
You'd be like, I'd probably call him like, dude, you're never going to guess what just happened.
Yeah. I was looking at boobs, and now I'm thinking about you. Gay. So he runs over to the kid's house, and then by the time he gets there, the FBI agents are already on the scene, like because the FBI would show up to a kid's, what amounts to an assumed suicide.
It tracks,
which is
it totally tracks.
Yeah, it's really cool. So Ali Larder also shows up. And she's talking to him. And
how does everybody know already? Like how much time has passed?
I don't know. I don't know. Not enough. And so she tells him that she felt what he felt on the plane. Like she felt like his feelings, and that's why she got off the plane, which obviously, women are intuitive. And and then Devon Sawa's character says, oh, well, what if Todd was just the first? So the next thing that they decide to do, which makes perfect sense, is to break into the mortuary to see Todd's body for, I don't know, reasons. But these kids are super stealthy and break in through the top window. And so they get in there and they're going to find the body. And then the mortician comes walking out, and it's played by the dude that played Candyman.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Which is pretty. And so they're kind of explaining what happened, and he's like the guy that has to explain the plot of the movie, right? So he's like, in death, there's no accidents. Death is a design. Blah blah blah. And so Devon Sawa was like, well, what if we can cheat death if we learn the design? And he's like, and then the dude's like, death has a new design, and and then in a line that can only be delivered by the dude that played Candyman, it's the best line in the fucking movie. It says, disrespecting the design could incite a fury that could terrorize even the Grim Reaper, and you don't want to fuck with that Mac Daddy. So it was really cool. He was super cool. He said Mac Daddy. It was dope. So at this point, now they've decided that they need to determine what the pattern is so they continue to cheat death. And so while they're sitting there having this discussion, they're talking about how he needs to cheat death. They're at like a coffee shop or something, and in a window he sees a bus go by in the reflection of the window, and he turns around and the bus isn't there. So this is where you get your second like really graphic death, where one of the girls that got off the flight, she's bitching at them, and she walks into the street and boom, gets hit by a bus. And the one thing that I will say is that even for the time, like the deaths were at least fun and a little like, you know, graphic. But those actually hold up enough to be entertaining. And so let's see. Oh, and so something comes out on the news and they're talking about how the plane exploded because nobody was on board. And they're like, oh, well, this is what happened. And so it's a picture of the seating chart and how this electrical explosion passed through the plane, and it's passing through all the seats that are left behind empty, which they would obviously know because nobody was on the plane, and the black box records electrical explosions like that, I guess. I don't know. So now they have the pattern that's following, so he knows who's next because this drawing even shows you where the fire started and how it traveled from point A to point B.
I remember that.
Yeah, really lots of sense there. And so now he gets taken in by the FBI for, let's see. Oh, because he knows the teacher's next. So he knows she's going to be next. So instead of doing anything to warn her or anything, he just starts creeping out around her house. And she looks out the window and sees him. And of course, she's got the FBI's number in her phone or whatever. So she calls them and they pick him up. And so while they've got him, he's explaining that she's next to die. And one of the things that I love the most is her death scene. She decides to listen to some John Denver music. So that was fun watching somebody die to John Denver.
Is that what killed her?
No, you would think. You would think. So this whole scene where she's going to die feels like it takes this place in the span of like 5 or 10 minutes, except the cops came and picked up Devon Sawa's character, drove him back to somewhere, interrogated him, and let him go all in this time. And then at the very end, when shit goes sideways, like she trips. Oh, no. This was another thing that made zero sense. She boiled water, pours it into her coffee mug, picks the mug up, looks at it, and freaks out and throws the water on the ground. There, you don't see anything in the water. There's no reflection. There's no nothing. The only thing that it sort of implies is that the school mascot is on the mug, and that freaked her out. But then she turns around, grabs vodka out of the freezer and pours it into the same mug, and then starts drinking it. So like, I don't know what the fuck made her just throw out hot water, but she doesn't even throw it out. Like she just throws it into the middle of her living room. So
that's
she
where I throw my water when I don't want it
Yeah.
anymore. So it's just...
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. So way. That all sounds right.
So she pours vodka into this mug, and she's leaning over a computer, and vodka leaks out through a crack that was somehow created in the mug into the computer. It starts a fire. Things start to go shitty for her, and she trips. And like she's trying to get back up because she's all mangled from the computer exploded. That's right. So the monitor cut her up. And so she's on the ground, and she reaches up to grab a towel to, like, I guess, try and stop her bleeding or whatever, but it's wrapped around her knife rack. So all the knives fall on her, and one falls through her chest. So at this point, Devon Sawa has been freed, and he goes to see what's going on. And he sees that her house is on fire. And because he's a genius, he runs inside. She's been stabbed by the knife. And he pulls it out of her chest and then holds it. So he's got his handprint on her knife now. Because, obviously you need to do that. And so he goes running out of the house when he realizes stuff's really going wrong, and Stifler's out there. And then the house explodes. And Stifler doesn't seem to find this suspicious at all, and totally buys into the kid's story again about how everybody's just being hunted down by death or whatever. And so now just everybody believes him.
I gotta say though, if Death's original plan was for these people to die by airplane, essentially, he's getting really creative, especially with the teacher, as far as like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's how we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
so all of the remaining survivors at this point, you got Stifler, you got the jock, you got Allie Larder, and you got the kid, Devon Sawa. So they all pile into the jock's car and they're driving around town, and the jock freaks out.
It's all hang out together. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Why not just make us one single target? So the jock's driving. He's like, fuck it. If it's going to take me, it's going to take me. He lets his hand off the wheel and just starts driving like a total asshole. But of course that doesn't kill them, because that would be too easy. So they survive a bunch of near misses to make it extra dramatic. And then his car dies on the train tracks. And so everybody jumps out of the car except for the kid, because the jock dude, because he's in a seatbelt and it's stuck. And so Devon Sawa, who looks like he's like, I don't know, 15 pounds soaking wet, comes around the driver's side and yanks this, beefcakey jock dude out of his car, rips his seatbelt off when the jock couldn't do it himself.
Was there a train coming?
Yeah, there's a train coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to bury the lead. Yeah. And so gets him out just in time. So it seems like, he saved his life or whatever. Ooh. And, the car,
however,
gets trashed, and there's a piece of metal under the car, or under the train now, that you see rattling around. And Stifler's out there walking around and yelling and flipping out. And then that piece of metal gets shot out and fucking just chops his head off. So Stifler's now dead. That's a headless Stifler. And instead of reporting or anything, their reaction is to run off. So at this point, you've got 3 people left. Do
they have the seating chart to know who's next?
Yeah, he thinks that Ali Larter's character is next, which the story would imply is true, because there's this big lightning storm. But first he thinks he's next. And so he's at home being all paranoid and shit. And then he realizes that he was wrong. So he's about to leave, and the cops show up at his house. And apparently he lives like on a river. So he escapes in a rowboat and actually like rows away on the water from the FBI, which was really impressive, I guess.
Nobody covered the dock, huh?
Yeah, nobody covered. Yeah. So there's this big thunderstorm or whatever, and so Ali Larter's, chasing her dog in the backyard, just trying to get him inside, and something punctures their above ground pool. So there's water everywhere, electricity everywhere. There's a down power line,
and so she's avoiding.
Yeah, so she keeps avoiding it, keeps getting away, and she gets into her house and runs through the garage into her car, and then gets trapped in her car because it gets stuck on something. I don't even know what. And then the downed power line somehow makes it all the way around to the front of her house and lands on the hood of her car. That's when Devon Sawa shows up. And he's like, don't get out, you're grounded, the car's grounded. But inside the garage, because Death is so crafty, a container of turpentine gets knocked over, pours under the car, and catches fire. So you see the fire coming up, and then the engine catches fire. So now she's in a bomb, basically, but trapped in there because of this downed power line. So Devon Sawa decides to play the hero and says, as soon as I grab this cable, you need to get out of the car so you can survive. And so he does. He grabs the cable, somehow manages to not touch the end of it, and then the car explodes, and you see him get thrown back into the garage, which somehow doesn't kill him. We don't know that right away, but you can kind of tell, right?
Well, he's not next.
Just too cheesy. And so, the next scene, right after he's laying on the ground and maybe dead, maybe not, is Ali Larter and the jock dude are on a plane landing in France, because everything's better now. They all dodged death. They were all skipped. Is their assumption?
Let's go ahead and head on make that trip now. That's it.
Yeah. And then just to be sly, like Devon Sawa's character walks up behind them like he's been there the whole time. And they're like, haha, we finally made it, our trip. Who thought we'd ever get on a plane again 1 year later? And so they're there.
Only 1 year. They only needed 1 year.
Yeah, to get over. Yeah. And so they're at this cafe in France and talking about how, trying to figure out who got skipped and why and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I don't even understand what happened anymore. But Devon Sawa realizes that death is still coming for him. And so he tells them to leave him alone and he's going to walk back to the hotel by himself so he can keep them out of danger. And then shit starts going down, and because nobody saved his life, so he wasn't skipped. So he was still on the list to die. Where that rule came from, I don't know. And then so this big sign explodes and starts to swing down towards him, and the jock dude jumps, dives, tackles him out of the way, saves his life. Right. So now he's safe. And as the jock dude stands up and starts talking shit about, I just saved your life, blah, 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 the sign swings back the other way and kills the jock dude. And then the credits roll, because I guess we can't really see the hero and his love interest die. But like, that's where it ends. So all in all, I'd say it was a great movie.
A great movie?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Acting is superb. The effects are very special. No, I mean, it's fun. It's fun if you take it for what it is, right? It's a cheesy horror movie with something of a plot that you just have to withhold disbelief just over and over and over again.
Well, I'm sure it's the best of the franchise.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for that. I'm really excited to watch the second, third, fourth, and fifth ones.
All right. Well, if there's nothing more for that one, let's get off the horror genre for a second and skip on over to back to action with David's entry for the Expendables franchise.
Yes. So the Expendables, for anyone who doesn't know, is just an action film filled with a bunch of aged actors who used to do action films. That was the shtick. So, you had a who's who of former action stars, starring Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham, which I thought was kind of bold because that dude was still working at the time.
Yeah.
Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren. The bad guy is Eric Roberts. Randy Couture. I'm guessing this guy's a wrestler. I don't follow wrestling.
UFC. He's a UFC fighter.
He's MMA, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Savage Steve Austin plays a bodyguard. Terry Crews
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, Stone Cold. See, I told you I don't do fucking wrestling.
That's a wrestler.
How dare
wrestler.
you?
Yeah.
Get off this show, sir.
That's the bottom line, because Stone Cold
Go where you
said
belong.
So.
Alex, out of nowhere, you have two beers, you smash them together. It's like, what the
Start flipping everyone off.
Terry Crews and Mickey Rourke. And then later some other people show up as well. So basically the plot is pretty much everyone in the movie is a mercenary. Sylvester Stallone is the leader. They have their own airplane. They run around, doing shit for money. In the opening scene, they go out against some Somali pirates. They end up taking them all down. They blow one guy in half, and ultimately Dolph Lundgren starts going too far. They try to back him down. He wants to keep going, so he starts fighting them. So
always going too far.
Yeah, that's right. So they got to kick Gunner off the team. So when they get back, they send Gunner packing. Then Sylvester Stallone goes to find the new job and shows up at the meet. And the guy who is selling the job is Bruce Willis. And the guy who comes to be his competitor is Arnold Schwarzenegger. So you're getting kind of the true who's who of the.
That's when he was still
stars.
Governor.
Yeah,
I thought he didn't show up till the second one. Was he in the first one?
He is.
Just
yeah,
a cameo though.
It was like a quick
cameo.
thing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's there for
governor.
like the pitch of the job, and then he goes, "Yeah, I don't want this."
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I haven't seen it in so long, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, so Sylvester Stallone decides to go scout this out, and he heads out there and meets with the contact who happens to be the general's daughter, which is the one they're supposed to get rid of.
Of course.
Yes, of course. And she is angry at her father and what he has done to the country because he is being ruled by Eric Roberts' character, who is an ex-CIA agent who is running the whole nation to make drugs and ship it out and rule a drug empire. So they're there to kill the dictator and get rid of the CIA guy. So they go, they check it out, they kind of get run off, and on their way out, they blow a whole bunch of shit up, and it's pretty cool. And they get back and they're like, you know what, we're not going to do this. This is fucked up. This is too much for us. At which point they get jumped by Gunner again and his new friends. And after they defeat Gunner and his friends, they, determine, okay, $5 million, it was way too dangerous. Instead, we're going to do it for free and to save the girl. So, and then the whole team's like, yeah, okay, why not? So they fucking go off to do the work for free and to save the girl. And that's pretty much what they do. And that's pretty much the movie.
Imagine that's what the next 2 movies are going to be like too.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. It's not a bad film. It's a little predictable and the action's really pretty good. I wish they would have kept it a little bit longer on some of the fight scenes instead of cutting it. And I know they're all probably a little older and it's harder to do their fight scenes, but there's a little cut up for me. My favorite part was you get Terry Crews.
That scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Comes marching through with that gun. And they're in like this tunnel structure. And you're all the way back. And so you're looking down this tunnel to like a T-juncture, right? And you're seeing bodies fly through this T-juncture as you're hearing this shotgun go off. And it's just blowing these guys backwards. And then you see him just march right through there, continuing to just fire. It's just a really cool shot.
It's a good scene.
It's a really good scene.
Oh,
so yeah, Sergeant Jeffords kicked ass.
Sergeant Jeffords. So I thinking of this movie and the people that are in it and then that are in the next ones, I just realized, do you have the Universal Soldier franchise on the franchise wheel?
I didn't know it was a franchise.
There's 4 of them. I just looked. If you want to ruin someone's day, that should be on there.
Keep that off there because I'll probably get that if you put it on.
Yeah, you should.
So.
Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme, dude.
I don't want to watch anything with that man in it.
What we need to start doing, here's what we can start doing is as we are finishing our franchises and we have to spin the wheel, we can start, you can add a franchise to it if it's not already on there.
That's pretty cool.
Like when you're spinning, you mean?
Yeah. If it's something that's not on the wheel before you spin, we can add it real quick and then. And
then you might get it. Okay.
Yeah, you might get it.
All right.
So we'll start that going forward.
Okay.
Well, I'll be quick, so I'll just go through mine because I'm too excited to hear about Alex's. I have The Hunger Games. I watched the second one, which is Girl on Fire.
Catching Fire.
Or Catching Fire, whatever. So it's overall, I liked it. Good movie. It takes place basically close to a year after the last Hunger Games, as the 75th anniversary approaches. The president is not very happy because there's signs of revolution occurring in some of the districts because of Katniss and her defiance to just the status quo. She is finding out that she has to basically, kind of rehash everything with a tour before each Hunger Games going forward. And so she's dealing with that. And because the President Snow dislikes her so much, he decides to initiate a loophole in the rules that being it's the 75th year, they can do like a special anniversary type of thing, and they decide to do the reaping from, or the selection of whoever's going to be in the Hunger Games from those who have won the Hunger Games. So only champions from each district will be selected. And so for District 12 that she lives in, it's basically down to 3. Her, Peeta, and Hamish. Is that his name?
Hamish.
Yeah. Hamish. So, which is Woody Harrelson's character. So for whatever reason, she keeps saying that Peter has to live. Like he has to live no matter what. You know, if for whatever reason, for anything to happen, he has to live. And so, long story short, she and Peter get selected again, and enter the Hunger Games. Which there's some added bonuses. You learn about all the other champions and how they won, and try to start building some alliances to try to stay alive. But as soon as they start, they're not on like a playing field. It's basically like they're in the middle of this lake and they have to swim to get any of their weapons. And so they really up the ante as far as the gameplay goes. They team up fairly quick, and they're really kind of not so much battling each other in this one as much as they're battling like the game player as they're creating these obstacles, like this fog that comes out of nowhere that is poison and it like burns your skin, and which can easily be treated by water. And then there's things like that that they're fighting against. So they end up devising this plan after seeing this lightning tree to try to basically short circuit the whole gameplay so that there would be no reason to even play if nobody's watching, kind of situation. So cut to the end when Katniss fires an arrow into the top of the dome that's tied to an electric wire that gets hit by some lightning, breaking the dome. And basically that's the end of the movie. So, you know, like there's more to come. She just kind of ended this whole game thing, and we'll see what's going on next. So good movie. I know the third one's supposed to be more of the boring one of the four, but
yeah.
I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, it's been entertaining enough to watch. I know I could be watching something much worse, like Alex, but I'm enjoying it as it goes. That's why I'm only watching one a week. I'm just letting it. I don't want to rush through them because I know it's on this wheel.
The third and fourth one aren't so much boring as they are really faithful adaptations to the books, so they don't cut out a lot.
Oh, that's fine.
And so it just makes them longer.
That's fine.
So for movies, they're boring.
But also the first one is more, you know, character development and
because the whole rescue
stuff like that. Yeah, and then the second one is just all action.
Yeah.
So they're kind of lopsided.
All right. Alex, finally we come to you with your fifth installment of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, The Dream Child.
The Dream Child.
For the record, Alex texted everybody with a picture of the screenshot from Dream Child and was disappointed before he even hit play.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it needs to be known.
That screenshot though was pretty, you know, cheesy and like made no sense and just
it sums up the movie.
Had I seen that, I would have been like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna watch that."
It was Freddie with a baby
like,
Freddie.
If I never had to watch this and that was what I saw, I would just cancel my HBO subscription right there. Basically. So I believe it or not, I actually already gave my review of this movie last week before even seeing it, if you remember, and it was 100% accurate. Freddie will come back in an obscure and totally ridiculous way, kill a bunch of people that don't matter, and then die in a way that doesn't make any sense. And that was this movie again, like all the others. They're just fucking carbon copies of each other. I don't even need to use the words horrible or like stupid or like, oh, you know what these movies are at this point. Like they're all the same. And
I don't remember. I need to hear.
Yeah, we need some details, man.
A detailed account.
So, okay, I'm not going to lie. It took me 20 minutes because I paused it and looked. It took me 20 minutes to realize that the people in this movie were the same people from the last one, because they left no impact on me whatsoever. But I didn't realize that they were returning characters.
Oh, really?
I thought they were just new people.
Were they the same actors?
Yeah, I think so. They just left that little of an impact on my brain. And it only was a thing that I had to think about because the main chick mentioned something like, "Oh no, he's doing it again." I was like, "Again?" And then, and then it turns out that she was the chick from the last. But I don't know, because they swap out main characters like every movie. Like it's just new people every time. So I just assumed it was new people again. But basically, the plot of this movie, if you can call it that, is the beginning, like, credit crawl is just a bunch of really awkward, like, kind of dark and obscure, like, it's just people banging, essentially. It's just two people doing it. But it's all but it's like really weird, and it's like, it'll say like produced by, and then it'll fade to like this really weird scene of people like just it's like super close up, and it's just skin rubbing on another skin, and I'm like, what is this?
Full penetration.
And, so it's if only that would actually be interesting.
Sure, but, full penetration.
But so basically, the plot of this movie is that those two people were the people from the last movie, I guess, and they're doing it, and the main chick gets knocked up during this sex scene, I guess. And so afterwards, she goes and like takes a shower and has like a Freddie kind of dream, but she's like, this can't be happening. Like, he's gone or whatever.
Right. The baby is streaming.
And it turns out that the way that Freddie is infiltrating this time, somehow, again, because he died in the last movie,
by looking into a mirror.
And he's going and he's invading the baby's dreams, so he can always get to her because the baby's dreaming all of the time, ignoring the scientific fact that she's literally an hour pregnant. Like, she's been pregnant for 1 hour. The baby is not a being yet. It doesn't have a brain.
Fuck, it's not.
Sleep.
This is science, dude.
Whatever, pro-choicer. Keep going on with the movie. Leave politics out of this.
It's not even politics.
I'm just kidding.
No, I know you are, but what I'm
I mean, what you're describing is sound science. I mean, so I don't know what you're arguing.
They did their research on this movie.
Yeah,
I'm sure, because then the next
wait.
Yeah, then they figure out that because I think she's the whole movie takes place over the course of 3 days. And at the very beginning of the movie is when she gets knocked up. So they're saying that not only immediately, but for the whole 3 days, that there is an actual child in her that is dreaming the whole time. Like, just even though it just happened, which again is scientifically false. Like, it's just not a thing. So
I don't think you've done your research.
I actually did. Yeah. Believe it or not, I went online after this movie because I needed to know that I was right. Because I was like, I don't think there's anything even there yet, really. It's like it's just still like the egg, and it's just kind of barely starting development. And then I looked it up, and it was like, I basically just looked up, do babies dream? And they were like, sure. 7 months into the pregnancy, and then all this, and I was just like, okay, perfect. So I'm not wrong. Like, it was, oh man, it was so frustrating. So basically, through the baby, Freddie can just get to her and her friends at any time, and it's like she's, I guess, the person who can pull people into dreams because she got the power from the other person in the last movie. It doesn't fucking matter. So now, like,
you left that part out. That didn't make any sense until just now.
Totally. So then basically every time one of her friends falls asleep, it uses the baby through her to get to them.
And so the baby is like a nightmare router.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a bridge. It's piggybacking her dream signal.
Yeah.
So it's
makes sense. Babies are the worst.
Yeah,
that's true. it's really bad.
This
It's
is a pro-choice
super dumb.
propaganda film.
Sure, it's pro something. Yeah. The acting, I will say that there were actually a couple of actors in this who were better than
Was it
than
the baby?
previous ones. The baby was an animatronic, and it was fucking disturbing, and I hated every second that it was on screen. And you, Opie, I remember last week you mentioned that this was the first one with like a child actor in it.
Yeah, I forgot. It's The Final Nightmare, and it's bad.
No, he's there's a child in this one too.
Oh, is there?
Jacob. Yeah, the
It's
kid that plays Jacob.
Yeah, so it's her kid, but like when he's older and he like talks to her through the dreams, he was the best actor in the fucking movie. Like he was so good. I was like, oh, this kid kind of rules. And I think it's the same kid. I didn't look it up, but he looks almost identical.
He's a creepy looking kid.
Yeah, I think it's the same kid who Alan Grant threatened.
Yeah, in Jurassic Park. That is the same kid. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, it looks like the same kid. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And he was actually really good. I was like,
I remember hating him when I watched that. Ruined the film for me.
Jurassic Park or Freddy?
Hertford.
No, that kid from Freddie. He ruined the film for me.
It ruined the film for you?
Yeah, I was into it till then.
Totes. There's nothing left to say about this movie. It's the same review as the last 3 weeks. It's garbage. It should have never been made. I don't understand how they got the funding for it. The plot is stupid. Although I will say, at least this time at the end of the movie, they blatantly left Freddie alive. They didn't kill him off, so he doesn't have to come back the next time. He got like, it doesn't make sense, but he got like trapped inside of his dead mother's ghost or some bullshit like that. But he's clearly still like a being, like he's alive in some way or another. So they didn't like banish him or whatever. He's just kind of trapped in purgatory, but you can see them like struggling at the end of the movie and then like these doors close or something like that. So I'm like, well, at least he doesn't have to resurrect.
Well, you know, the next
time.
one already is like the Final Nightmare.
I thought the next one's Freddy's dead.
Yeah, it's called Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the new Nightmare, isn't that after that one?
Yes, and Freddy versus Jason is actually after Final Nightmare.
Yeah,
and I think it's before New Nightmare.
Oh, chronologically?
No, I believe so.
It's Freddy's Dead, then Wes Craven's New Nightmare, then there's Freddy versus Jason, and then there's the reboot Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Freddy versus Jason is the last thing besides the remake. It doesn't matter.
You're almost you're almost there.
It doesn't feel like it. Jesus Christ, man! Like these are such bad movies. Even.
I can't wait for next week. I'm already excited.
Is it worse again? Like, does it just keep getting worse?
Yes. It's by far the worst. By far. You're hitting rock bottom next week, buddy.
Oh, I've seen this one.
You're hitting rock bottom next week.
Yeah.
I emotionally, I'm no longer compromised by these movies because I feel nothing about them. They're just a waste of fucking time.
At least with a New Nightmare, even though it's kind of bad, the idea behind it is kind of cool.
I think it's better. It's
better than the previous fucking 3.
It's good
before
for sure,
it.
Yeah.
The idea behind the entire franchise is cool if they could just stick to the fucking idea. They can't even follow their own rules. Is the problem? Like the idea
but here's what you'll like about New Nightmare is one, it's written by Wes Craven, and who's in the movie and also explains why basically what's going on. It's actually a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, wow. All right.
These movies suck.
Oh, bro, wait till you get to Freddy versus Jason.
I'm excited for that one. I've
actually
seen
that already. And you remembered liking it.
And I told you, I still feel this way. Maybe it'll change after I watch it. I feel like it's going to be the best one.
You know, I think that you should maybe hold off because if you're watching that, you're going to be totally lost because you have no reference for Jason Voorhees. Maybe you should watch all the Friday the 13th first.
No.
Yeah, together.
No, I know enough about him.
Oh man,
he was in the lake.
Get that next.
His mom,
that will just...
and at the camp, and now he's a killer. That's all you need to know. I know enough about him. He's fine. We're good.
But then he ends up in space.
The Jason X. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'll just stick with this, and if I get Friday the 13th for my next franchise, I'll just fucking kill myself. So that's fine. Yeah. What if I got Friday the 13th for my next franchise, and then I had to watch Freddy versus Jason again?
Actually, you do, because it's the second to the last one.
I know.
And you, and it's still the
fucking
best
12
one
of
out of
those
all
things.
of them.
12?
Dang.
I'm still convinced, and I'll obviously, maybe I'll change my tune after viewing it, but I bet it's the best one.
When we get there, I'm gonna put the Friday 13th like on 16 of the panels before you spin.
It'll just be going by. I'd be like, wait, what?
It's the only thing on there. You just see the name flipping. Yeah,
just changes colors. You're like, ah.
Maybe for the hell of it, put Halloween in there somewhere too. Just
one of them.
So yeah, that was that movie.
All right. Well,
it's a piece of shit. Don't recommend. No one ever watch it. Should have never existed. Should have stopped after 3.
Yeah, they should have. But there's so much more story to tell. That's
Do
what
they?
You don't get. Yes.
Do they?
So many more,
again, there's an underlying plot that could be interesting if it followed its own rules. If the acting wasn't D grade, and if they just tried a little harder with some of the things like the effects. Like, I know they can do better looking things because they did it in the first movie. That's what's frustrating, because the effects look like shit in most of these, except for the first one. The first one has incredible effects. I was like, this movie looks great still. So they can do it. It's not even a matter of like, well, I don't know, maybe it was too old. No, they could definitely do better looking shit for sure, because they did it. And they just don't, because they don't give a fuck. They just wanted to like bang them out.
Yeah.
And try to make
That's
money.
why Wes Craven wasn't doing any of them.
Yeah, I noticed he kind of dropped off after the
third
one.
No, first.
I thought he came back for one of them. I thought I saw his name one more time.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
No, I thought he might have been like a producer or something on one.
He might have produced the third one.
I think that's what I'm thinking, maybe, because I could have swore I saw his name in the credits on one of the other ones.
He produced the third one.
Yeah. So. Either way. Holy shit.
You're almost there, buddy. You're almost there.
Kind
really,
of.
Though.
I have 3 left. Like, that's how many some of you have at all in some of these franchises.
Yeah, like David. He's on his like second or third 3.
Yeah, Karate Kid. Well, Karate Kid
you had
4.
The Hobbit. Then you had The Hobbit, right?
The Hobbit was 3.
Hobbit was 3. Karate Kid was 4.
Expendables is 3.
Yeah. Okay. Oh wow.
The Hobbit 3, though. I mean, that's a big 3.
Yeah. Right, Alex? That's a tough 3.
I would watch those every day of my life until I died, rather than watch any of these nightmare movies ever again. I'll take so many unexpected journeys. It's not even.
Just fucking moving to New Zealand.
I've been debating it, to be honest.
Hey, all right. Well, I guess that's
Justice League trailer time. What? No? No Justice League
trailer? We're on time this week.
All right. Well,
this week, maybe next week.
Spend too much time on James Bond. Sorry, Pete.
Yeah.
I tried to keep it short.
So what do you got now? What did you get? You got
the Predator franchise.
The Predator franchise.
Lucky son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'll take that one happily.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. I guess until next week, we'll talk to you later. Adios.
Peace. Bye.
I felt like the live action Last Airbender, like they couldn't have gone out of their way to make that movie any worse. Like every aspect of that film was actively awful.
That never watched the cartoon, and I never saw the movie, so I have no.
The cartoon was really good.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things.
That's what made the movie even worse. Is that the cartoon was so good, so they just like shit on this amazing series.
Well, my kids are really into it, so like, and they're into YouTube, so they found all these videos pointing out like just how badly they butchered the casting, the names, like the pronunciation of names, like through the entire animated series they pronounced it one way, and then they
like you have a whole show that tells you how to say it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But they also tried to cram what was 4 seasons worth of television shows into a 90-minute movie.
No, they tried. It was a single season. They tried to shove the entire book 1 water into a single season, or into a single movie, and I think it only comes in at like 90 minutes.
Yeah,
and it's like
I'll tell you, it's classic.
It's
Yeah, I
like
was gonna say, if it's 90
23
minutes,
episodes. It's
your work
23
is done.
half-hour episodes.
Yeah, and they cut it down to 3.
You just can't.